It's scary.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of things to be done in Vegas.
But you know what? You took the same tour I did with my family. We did, we took the bus to the plane. The plane took us to the helicopter. The helicopter took us down into the river, and then we, took a boat. So it's planes, trains, bus, and automobiles, right? Took a boat and then came back. That helicopter, it goes down steep. It goes back up. It's freaky, but that skywalk scared. What did you think of the skywalk?
Sorry?
What did you think of the skywalk? That was scary.
It was scary. You can't walk. You need to crawl.
I grabbed my son. I
had tears and I was crawling. I couldn't walk. Even if I knew that the glass will never break, but still I couldn't walk.
What if an earthquake hit? That's all my brain kept saying. What if an earthquake hits right now? I grabbed my son. We got around him, and that was it. I did it once. I will never go back. It's like there's these in some of the buildings. They have the windows that you can walk out on and look down. I just don't prefer. I don't like those. But yeah, the skywalk was insane. Dr. Yoo, hi.
Yes.
How's California?
Today it's overcast, which is nice. There's a little misty rain, which is good because it's been hot lately. It's probably DARPA putting out the chemtrails to make us less healthy. That's what I figure. Yeah.
We're talking about all the healthiness of it. So something I don't know if you're aware of, but in India they just experienced a earthquake. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of worldly events that
I'll take your leave.
Don't hear because of COVID taking over the news. Like remember that asteroid that almost hit the Earth?
Yeah.
That never made the main news, and then earthquakes, and remember that cold storm that hit the U.S. a couple weeks ago? I mean, it's weird. Weather's been weird.
It snowed up in New York, and we had icy hail, and then India got hail. India had hailstorms. So,
well, you wonder if the weather is being manipulated as well to keep the temperature cooler, and that's when viruses tend to flourish.
Well,
because when it gets hotter, they can't thrive in hot atmospheres. So it's kind of strange.
I've just met Dr. Yoo, but I've fallen in love with him. This is great. It's all being.
Dr. Yoo is in LA area. He has a stem cell practice. He's a chiropractor as well, and we've actually seen him video a treatment when he injected a stem cell into a patient and the success. So it's Dr. Yoo is full of great surprises, alternative treatments to most of the dangerous medications that they tend to offer us. But a chiropractor, that's what they do. That's one of the reasons why I like chiropractors is they're more about all the alternative quality of life, preventative that we can have. And but he's also an entrepreneur in many ways too. So he doesn't just stop.
Serial entrepreneur.
Serial entrepreneur, but he's a health geek, and he realized that we put on the COVID-19. He goes, let's do a yoga class. And what does he do? Like in less than 24 hours, throws together a hot yoga class. And
I'm gonna break down each movement one day.
Yeah.
And then that way I could kind of, because there's so many nuances. It's like a golf swing. You have to evaluate from head to toe. There's so many things that can go wrong. I just started a video series on neck stretches for my patients and back, and I'm gonna put them on Facebook. See if people watch them. So yeah,
I will. The thing is alternative treatments like that are very good. I know that I have to do physical therapy every day. Stretching is one of them in order for me to continue walking and having good movement. Also keeping my weight down, which is very important. But my problem is that after a while it gets boring. and learning new techniques or just seeing somebody else reemphasize why something's important is always fun for me to watch, right? It's
Yeah, you have to do something you like, otherwise you're not gonna keep it up.
Yeah.
So I always encourage, find something you like. I mean, some people don't even like walking. If you don't like walking, bike. Don't like biking, swim. Don't like swimming. Do the Katsu bands. I mean, anybody can put these on their body
there you
and
go.
press the button, right? And then guess what? You're getting a workout in. So I almost got the website built up where you can order them. Because it takes a long, because you have to put on the shopping cart what size, right? And yeah, it's a lot of moving parts. And then, of course, PayPal banned our account for no reason. We thought it was because we sell CBD, but they didn't tell us. They said, you know, our request to establish our PayPal account's been denied. So now we got to use, I think you could use SurveyMonkey to get payments. I don't know what we're doing.
So we got an online, Ankit, don't we have a partner now that we're working with, Sinjay? Ankit just jumped off. So we've got another, I guess, a fintech company that helps businesses with electronic payments as well, that we just is doing a TV show with us now. So Sinjay.
Well,
But,
Dr. Yoo, I've got a PayPal account, and they didn't turn me down. So,
Well, you don't sell controversial products like me, like CBD roll-on,
how
stem cell
controversial is that?
consultations. You know, stuff big pharma tells PayPal, hey, shut this person down.
Gotcha.
These are people are drug profits, right? We got to sell opioids and kill 100,000 people. That's what they say. Yeah.
You're not the only one that has struggled with PayPal shutting down on them during transactions. I've had small businesses in Miami complain about it. In fact,
even Chase Bank, they've withheld $28,000 of my income because I had some fraud on my account. So I changed my account numbers, and they haven't transferred that 28 grand from my old accounts to the new. They said it's in suspension. And no matter who you talk to there, it's like talking to a wall. They just read a script, and
Completely.
these people have no soul in these big corporations. You know, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Big pharma shouldn't control people's businesses and transactions. And again, I have friends that have small businesses and down in the Miami area, and PayPal was causing all kinds of problems. One, because one of them was a new startup, and they were getting a lot of money coming in, and PayPal just all of a sudden said, no, I don't think so. And nothing was proven that they were wrong. And, you know, maybe they were a competitor to somebody else, but.
Well, you know, I heard Miami's starting to open up movie theaters, health clubs, but I heard that somebody who owns a chain of health clubs got a call from the WHO, which they're out of their jurisdiction. It should be the local Miami Health Department. And they were saying, oh, we don't recommend you open up because COVID's been shown to be transferred through sweat, right? Which hasn't been proven, right? We know it can be transferred through respiratory droplets. It's almost like they hired people to call all the businesses and health clubs not to open. And I think it's just an excuse for them to say, oh, don't open up until you take our vaccine. You know what I'm saying? You know, trying to scare people like, oh, it's not safe to go out until you have this vaccine. And they want to, you know, scare everyone and to stay inside, you know. And then I'm going to say this over and over. I'm not putting that stuff in my body just because I know what the ingredients are. I mean, known toxins and, you know, blood products from like cows and different animals. I don't want mouse DNA in my kids, you know, in me and my offspring. You know what I'm saying? I don't want aborted fetus parts injected in my body or kids just as an ethical standpoint,
Well,
or mercury, thimerosal, known toxins. Just like I'm not going to eat GMO foods that was sprayed with Roundup because DDT is a known carcinogen. That's what they use to deforest the jungles in Vietnam, and then these veterans got Agent Orange causing cancer, and they're being denied benefits. So it's crazy. I can rant all day.
No, but
you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I agree with what you've been saying, and it's a question of following the money. It's like here's
the thing. All right, I get it. I mean, I'm Korean. I appreciate the Korean War. General MacArthur came in. He stopped communism at the border. By the way, the war never ended. There's only a ceasefire. There's no. The war has not ended. So occasionally there are skirmishes at the border, the DMZ. Vietnam is a harder argument that we should have been there just because. Here's the deal. Vietnam was backed up by China and Russia. We know that. So we didn't even stop the spread. Saigon's now called Ho Chi Minh City. And it's like a free market society. So if we did not go into Vietnam and sacrifice all those innocent lives, 18-year-old kids, come on.
Right.
Would it have changed? I mean, wouldn't Vietnam eventually become, although it's labeled communist, it's a free market now, right? We do business with them and they're growing just like China. So was that really worth it? JFK was against going in, and mysteriously the magic bullet, somehow found his way through him. And then Vietnam was allowed. So, yeah.
That was always a conspiracy theory right there. That was probably one of the biggest conspiracy theories of our lifetime. I guess this will become a conspiracy theory as well. One of the things that have really irked me, and I don't know if this bothers you as well, but in the course of all of this, some of us entrepreneurs pivoted to help distribute medical supplies, right? Connecting dots for people. And I noticed that, like, in the beginning of COVID, there was masks. Mask was a necessity. And so the FDA did approvals of a lot of mask companies, and the American distributors and chains and warehouses stocked up, right? And they have this FDA approved.
I'm stocked up, but ready to distribute them.
Ready to distribute, but then they turn around and they go, you know what?
It has to be CDC tested and certified.
You have to be CDC,
FDA, EUA. And sometimes if they get it, the manufacturer gets it, they'll take it off the list. So you end up importing all this stuff. Luckily, this company, they got the CDC certificate, but I got lucky. Same with the test kits.
Test kits were the same way. They changed the rules in mid-game. So you got stuff shipped in on FDA approval. Then somebody comes in and goes, only if it has CDC A list. So there's a CDC A list. Yeah. But get this, these manufacturers had to pay to get the FDA approval. These manufacturers have to pay to get the CDC approval. They have to pay to get this. So now these guys who shipped all of this FDA approved stuff here in mass volumes to meet the demand have nothing to sell right now. They can't sell it because it's not CDC A list. And these guys can't afford to pay to become CDC A list. So this is another scam.
I think it's a gray law. It's not written in stone because these products were imported when the regulations were allowed. They should be able to be grandfathered in and sell them.
Yeah, I have no grandfather clause. Whenever they come in, there should be a grandfather clause, unless they could prove that these masks were not fit, and that wasn't the fact. They were fit. What happened was somebody was like, I'm not making enough money off mine, granddaddy.
Well, you could use them for general population use. You just can't say,
Sonny,
certified use for in the hospital, right? The general public is fine, I feel. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is, though. It's okay, Sonny. We're going to add one more seal of housekeeping approval on this, and then
I
you can
will say
sell
this.
yours and they can't sell theirs. That's what's happening. It had nothing to do with the quality of the product. But I think that anytime they do a transition like this, if you've got 20 million in stock in the country, then the people who are sitting on that 20 million should be allowed to push that through. But then the next band coming into the country should have to meet the next qualifications. So I think that there should be a grandfather clause that crosses so that these people can move the product that they have. Yes, Ed Kit.
But why can't we have a global standard for everyone? Because it should not be that a qualification for US is different from a qualification from UK. So as in India, we all are human beings and we have two eyes and all those things. So I don't understand why we have so.
This. We all breathe the same. We got a
I don't
liver that
understand.
we all have a liver that grows. So why
Yeah.
can't
I don't understand why every government wants to have a new guidelines and new
Okay.
rules.
I have been asking this question since I was an engineer in telecom. Why can't we have one universal? Why is it when people come out with all of this proprietary, why
We
can't
do
it be
have a
one universal
universal.
standard?
It's a WHO's COVID vaccine. That's the universal.
Why do I have this? Okay.
Yeah.
Why do I have this? And why do I have this? All right. Why are my connections? Why are not one of my
That is my
universal?
complaint about
Why
Apple.
are
This
any of
one,
them?
this one
Apple-
different.
I have to bring a dollar note.
Every
This
year,
one's
Apple
different than this one.
So annoying.
So
Yeah.
I said, hear this out. We had a telecommunications global standards committee. Global standards committee. We all had to pay our way to sit on there. I wasn't an independent at the time. I was a representative of a very large company, right? There was not one dang thing in that room about global universal standards. No, I learned more about what everybody else was doing and you know how it was all proprietary. You probably learned more about who to invest in at those meetings. And I was an engineer. I wasn't paying attention to that. But I agree with you. Why can't it be one global world thing? Why do I have to go to Brazil and get my Visa? Why do I have to go to the UK and get the HRSA or HI?
Brazil is so picky about import. Usually, you just pay somebody off.
Uganda's like
I'm serious. That's how I got my lasers into Mexico. We took them across the border through Texas, and they just paid off the custom agent some cash, and he let it through.
Yeah.
And that's how business is done in Central and South America. So why Brazil, who's probably struggling financially, making it difficult to get these medical supplies and testing and all that, and PPEs. It's all about getting more, revenue, but it's very hard. They make it very difficult. That one of my Chinese suppliers gave up on getting the Visa, on medical supplies and equipment. I mean, yeah.
It is very sad that they have done this to us rather than help the medical community and help the smaller businesses. And again, I feel like that this is more about the big pharma and big businesses felt like they missed out on the opportunity. And instead of giving us a chance to complete the cycle of the product we have in stock, they've hindered it. And all of this stuff is going to be sitting there in the warehouse doing nothing. And it helps no one. It's like Ed says, and why can't it all be the same freaking standard? It's the same product.
Because that makes sense.
I have an answer basically. I have an answer that all the MBAs, they are sitting and controlling the management and they're controlling the company. So they want to create their own ecosystem so that once you register in that ecosystem, it's difficult for you to go out.
Yeah.
So that's what they want. They wanted to capture in a web, and you have to live in that web for n number of years till the time you think of going back. And then if you want to choose to opt for some other company, you have to pay a lot of money just to transfer your data to the other company, and that also requires a lot of money. So that's what's happening. In fact, I've read an article last year, sometime in November, and they says that a company is working in China or somewhere. They have a phone and they have a car. So the phone is combined with the car, and you have to buy the ecosystem. All the hardware are free of cost.
Right.
There is no charge for the hardware. You just have to pay a monthly sustainable fee to manage those ecosystem, and you are for life. You don't have to pay anything. So that's what they're working on.
Right. And
And
there,
they wanted to control it by using 5G, by using a lot of devices, bots, and all. They wanted to know what are we talking, and then based on that, they will supply you products, which is not healthy.
Yeah.
so I will
Well,
tell you
on that
this.
wonderful
I look like a
note,
papa mole. I'm doing my
I must-
warm ups. You know,
Yeah.
every
I must
every
say,
web every podcast I'm on,
Right.
I'm always
Right.
moving around, I'm always sitting around, right? And I'm like, I get stiff. I always move around. Like I was on a Grant Cardone podcast and my backdoor gym. I was doing rope climbs and people were like, look at what is he doing? Yeah.
So you were on Grant's podcast. Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll invite you. It's called 10X.
Yeah, you'll have to do that sometime.
Except
He does a lot.
well,
He used to do a lot of
I have
mini
a problem with have you heard the old business mantra, you're always growing or you're always shrinking? There's no such thing as maintenance, but the problem with always growing is you're going to have to spend more time growing your business. And if you have a family and you're trying to balance that out and your fitness and your faith, something's going to give. So a lot of these multi-billion-dollar companies and CEOs, yeah, they're making billions, they're growing their company, but how is their other parts of their life? How's their fitness? A lot of them has a lot of heart disease and depression and diabetes and cancer. How's the relationship with their family? They're on their third or fourth marriage. With their kids, how's their faith? Do they sell their soul to grow the company? I naturally do try to kind of grow my companies, but not at the sacrifice of faith and fitness and family and all that. So I think there is such thing as maintenance. You're never like this, but I want my maintenance is kind of like, I'll be up more than I'm down, but if my up is I'm selling my soul, I have to pull back the reins. Does that make sense? Although my tendency, I do want it grow. So yeah.
Well, there's a balance, and in this particular situation, and I was speaking with another person. I hope he joins us here. A lot of us entrepreneurs kind of pivoted, trying to say, okay, well, maybe there's something we can do to continue generating revenue for our family during this time, not to take advantage of people, but to help connect dots. Hey, I know someone, the network thing. And the thing is that we've invested in other things and tried to help other people. And now that's being turned against a lot of the people who did that. And
you always get those trolls. Oh, you guys are taking advantage of COVID. You're price gouging when we're just filling a need in the market, Yeah.
You know who's price gouging? I'm going to tell you who's price gouging, especially when I sat here and listened to Dr. Art tell me how much he was paying to get each test kit from the government to test his patients with, because he's on the front line testing. And he was telling me it's $28 to $30 per kit. I mean, per test. Per test.
Which one, the PCR or the finger prick?
I think that right now is the rapid test right now, I think, but they do the PCR too. And the PCR, I didn't ask. I should have.
$28 a kit just to get the kit?
Not the kit, per test. So you know how the kits are priced per test, right? So
yeah.
So in most cases, warehouse prices at $6 to $10, right? It's costing them $28 to $30 to buy it. That's price gouging.
Yeah.
It's the government price gouging. This is why I tell people it's not us doing that. We're not doing that.
We have to use those kits.
Yeah, the ones that the state has approved for them to purchase.
Yeah, see, they want to control it.
But they have to buy it. So somebody in the government is controlling that puppet string, right? So they're saying, well, these are the only ones we're going to allow the doctors to buy in our state. So somebody's controlling those puppet strings, and that's
a little yoga every day. Sometimes I'll make it through the whole routine, but yeah, once a week isn't cutting it because I just get so tight again. But I'm trying to do the yoga with the Katsu bands to see if I could get more flexible with the blood rushing in. It might.
Well, you know what's interesting is
open the fascia more.
I can't hear the Katsu bands running this time. The last time you had them on, I could hear it, but
it's on my waistband, so you're not gonna.
I can't hear you, but today the doctor used cameras also not clear. I can't see him clearly. Maybe my bandwidth is having a problem, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to
I see clear. Yeah.
Right. I can't see you very clear today. Usually you're very clear, but
yeah, maybe because it's raining. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy, and you know, all of this weird stuff going on in our ecosystem. It's like the Mother Earth is taking back her control and saying, you know, you humans got out of hand.
A lot of weird things going on, especially in India. I mean, we are experiencing different things every day, and it's scary sometimes.
It's unusual, huh? Even in India, are weather patterns unusual?
Yes.
Yeah, too much. I mean, so yesterday, day before yesterday, we had 112 degree Fahrenheit, and today we are experiencing heavy rains across North India.
Yeah, like here, it was very hot yesterday. I just finished exercising with my son at 6:30, and like at 6:45, all of a sudden it got dark, the cloud, and it started raining a little. All of a sudden, like a light switch. Yeah.
And also, doctor will tell you. So we have a natural drone from Mother Earth coming to India from Africa. If you heard about Lotus, so they are flying across India, and they are damaging all the crops, and they are flying in numbers of like 1 billion, and they are covering the area which is like around 3 miles.
Is that more than usual?
Yes.
This happened.
This never happened.
This never happened. I mean, in my lifetime.
I mean, you wonder if, like, I don't know, some organization they you know, they raised a bunch of locusts and now they're releasing it. You know, like in the U.S., they're trying to scare people. You know, those huge wasps from Japan, they're like this big. They're saying, "Oh, there's been sightings in Washington State." It's like, you know, we don't need to hear the fear mongering. You know, like I said, I haven't read the news for a few weeks, and I have so much more time. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them before, and I asked somebody because I'd never seen one before. It was about 2 years ago, and I remember asking people, "Have you ever seen a wasp that looked like this?" Because it was you know, bigger than normal, red in color, kind of just freaky looking, and everybody was like, "No, we've never seen a wasp that looked like that before." It's probably something that we've imported in through, you know, shipments and things like that from. I
went to my favorite taco place called Coyote Taco. It's an old Morangan native Indian recipe, and they know me so well that they know my order. I just tell them the usual, and then now they have this. You have to stand 6 feet away from the window. I'll give you your bag of food. And I was clearly 6 feet away, and she's like, "Oh, stand further." I'm like, "Hey, listen, I'm 6 feet away. You know, this fake virus doesn't really scare me." And the owner's like, "You're in the medical field. How dare you?" Blah blah blah. It's like, why is she yelling at me? I'm like her best customer, and I probably won't go there again. They're so stressed out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Has that been you know, in North Carolina, we had, you know, trying to re-enter, and of course, the best practices went straight to heck here. And we had we have race car here, right? I don't know if you're familiar with race car, but it is usually packed, crammed like this with sweaty people not wearing clothes and stuff like that. And they decided to open up on Memorial Day weekend, even though our governor said, just 10 people per event. This is their answer to it. Well, it's 50 acres of, and we had 4,000 people to 50 acres. So they think, 50 acres, but that's not how you cram the people. 25 acres is cars spinning around, and another 1/2 acre is where you cram all the people to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the mentality and the excuses are stupid, but it's like you said, if you're standing 10 feet away, 5 feet away, who cares? But there's just, everybody has their own thing, but not one person was wearing a mask. They were all crammed together like this, but they
Just
weren't.
like the White House version, nobody wears it. Yeah.
Right.
Kim, I remember the post you have shared in the morning, which was about some rally happened just after Spanish flu, and people were wearing masks at that time as well.
Yeah.
So masks are not something which is new to us, and then I think people are following that.
No, mask is not something new. This is what I don't understand. It's not like it's the first time we've been asked as a society to just take the precautions until we get things under control. This is something else. Just take precautions until things are under control. And we understand what we're dealing with. And that's the problem, is people are not, but like even Dr. Yoo says he was standing, several feet away or whatever, but, people need to understand that, you can do that. But this is what it looked like over the weekend. And look at the stand, right? So they're going to open again this weekend.
But how come there are no news from the Trump administration so as your state government?
So
They're not
Trump's biggest way of spreading news has been cut off, called Twitter. And I don't know if you've seen the news where he's going to sue Twitter, right? So his means of spreading hate and whatever he wants, his news has been cut off because Twitter. I'm sure he's twittering today about Twitter. So I'm going to sue Jack Dorsey. Okay, yeah, you're using Jack Dorsey's Twitter account to tell him that. But the thing is that, people are just going to do what they want to do. And at this point, this is what I say is, we're just going to, unfortunately, have to deal with the unconscious mindsets until things are together. Like, Dr. You were probably at least being distant. It wasn't like you were crammed in a crowd like this, right? I mean,
yeah, it's just a window.
Might be.
Yeah, it's just a window. Where you pick up your food, and
So
I was like this far away. He's like, all she had to do was open it up, and I would have grabbed the food. And I just felt, hey, I'm a regular here, and they're treating me like some zombie. Yeah,
they should have a serving stick, right?
Oh no, they should have a place, a marker on the floor. Oh, please just stand there. But it's so vague. Oh, stand further. It's like, yeah.
We have at our little country store, they have lines everywhere now, like little taped things, and stand here if this is happening. If this line, they have one direction aisle. I mean, it's so weird. I can't shop. I get real scared. Am I going down the wrong way? But they've taken really good precautions here, but I would almost think that at a serving where they're serving food, they would have a big stick with a clip on it. They would just hand you the bag with a stick, and then they don't have to worry about it. But I'm concerned that people think we can go like this. We had a nice conversation with a young man from New York that shared with us, how things are in New York, that people aren't really taking it serious. And that's why things are spreading the way they are spreading, even though the government has taken the effort to shut things down, to limit access to a lot of the activities, that people are still just going out and doing their own thing. So I guess his thing is why not just go ahead and open up these activities, and we address the sickness as it spreads. And maybe are we there yet? Do you think we can start addressing the sickness as it spreads?
Well, my rant is just let the herd immunity take place. let herd immunity take place, turn the news off, and just do your best to maintain a healthy lifestyle and,
Yeah.
you know, test the elderly who have symptoms, quarantine them. So if you're young and healthy, you should be out in the workforce. You should be outside, you know, getting plenty of vitamin D and socialization to keep your stress levels down. So, because people are turning to their comfort foods and they're online all night, insomnia, which is going to cause even worse problems than the supposed viral symptoms in itself, which 99.7% of the population are going to fight off anyways, you know, or even more.
Well, and I think that's what we've heard today. At least 80%, 85% of the people that get this will not need to go to the hospital. Just your basic standard treatments. But this is what we've learned through the 3 months, that it does. You can be contagious even if you don't have symptoms. One of the things I like that Iceland did was, instead of testing the people that are sick, in order to kind of isolate where the spread could be, they said, okay, if you're sick, go over here and get treated, right? And they started testing areas where people were not showing symptoms, trying to catch it early. I thought that was very smart. Yeah. And then, but they never closed down. Like their schools never shut down. Everything never shut down, and they experienced 10 deaths and, you know, not that many people infected. You're still going to have infections, right? This is going to spread, but they controlled it. And that's what they say. We're going to continue controlling it just like this. And the idea is just to keep the mass spreading from happening so that the doctors can control the symptoms. But like you said, the elderly are the ones who are, the odds are against them. So I agree. I think, you know, we're just, and again.
Well, and then if we do get sick, we have the solution, you know, the umbilical cord stem cells to, you know, immunomodulate, you know, enhance their immune system, and oxygen, like the hyperbaric helmet, instead of stuffing an intubator tube down their throat.
Yeah,
they're probably doing that because they could bill insurance more with the intubator than simple oxygen. Unfortunately, economics play a role in that.
Well, and the oxygen is better for you anyway, right? It's better for all your organs and everything. We know this. So, yeah, and then maybe use one of those things that you got, right, to keep the nitric oxide pumping through the body. Very simple solutions that don't cost a lot of money pharmaceutical-wise. And we know that's the problem, right, in our society. I agree with you. I think we went home with too much comfort food. They should have been sending everybody, big containers of blueberries and apples and things like that instead. But that didn't happen. So we put on the COVID-19, and we're going to get back in shape. We're going to do yoga.
I think people are they're getting cabin fever. They want to come out, and so we're trying to educate people how to come out safely. You know, yeah, social distance, yeah, clean mask. You know, when you do go out, you know, obviously if you're symptom free, you know, I think you could be less cautious. But if you do have some cold or flu symptoms, yeah, you might want to, you know, think twice, but at least go outside around your home, you know, to get that light and vitamin D going, right?
Yeah, because even just because you're sick doesn't mean that you should stop getting the supplements that your body needs. And that's the reason why people get worse and sometimes maybe unfortunately die, is because they're not getting the supplements their body needs. They're not hydrating enough. They're not getting the vitamins that they need because you stay inside. They proved that in 1918 in the flu, the Spanish flu.
Kim, you know what Dr. Sareen mentioned, that in India we took BCG vaccines when we were children, and then that is helping a lot of people, and also it because of our young population in India as compared to other countries, and also a matter of fact that in all different countries we have different kinds of disease or things happening. So like in US, 15-20% of the people are obese, and that's why it's causing more in US as compared to other countries. So because of our chronic disease or other diseases which is going on since a while now, that is where I think COVID is spreading more. And in India, there is some kind of an unearned immunity because we are daily we are dealing with a lot of pollution and other things. And I believe that that is causing some kind of a gateway or some kind of a shield for us because we have always been the way we used to live, and our lifestyle is different from what other people live. But we have a lot of open things. I mean, we don't follow that much of amount of hygiene what we follow, but we have a completely different lifestyle, and I think that's why we are in a much better situation as compared to the rest of the world. But I still
Well,
believe that
there's always going to be some risk of leaving your home.
yeah,
If you get in your car, there might be a higher risk of dying in a car accident than COVID.
yeah,
But we still drive because we have faith that we're going to get to point A and point B without getting in a car accident. Now, you could decrease your chance of a car accident by, not speeding and, always looking over your shoulder when you turn. Try to be aware of other drivers, look at their tires, but still that's all that we could control. But somebody who's drunk at the other side of the road, they could hit you and kill you, or you could get injured, and we cannot control that. Just like our health, what can we control when you leave the home? Yeah, you can wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands. You can take vitamin A, C, D, E, K, exercise, manage your stress levels, vitamin D from the sun, healthy diet, healthy exercise, maintain some spirituality and socialization. That's what you can control. But you cannot control, somebody else who's infected or
certainly.
where the virus happens to be. Those are factors you cannot control.
And I completely agree that while driving the car, we have a lot of blind spots, and especially the blind spot is between your rear wheel and your window. So there's a thick assembly line which causes a lot of blindfold when you take a right turn or left turn, and that happens with a lot of car accidents as well. But on the other side, I'll tell you, Dr. Yoo, that everyone is talking about sanitizers and all those things, and people are keeping sanitizers in their car. So in India, the temperature is around 110 Fahrenheit. And so that is causing a lot of problem.
Yeah, the plastic's probably going to melt, and the plastic gets absorbed in your body.
And one more thing.
You're killing the microbiome on your hands. The good bacteria.
It's blasting out like anything, and then a lot of people, what they are doing is they are putting sanitizers in their car keys just to sanitize it. And once they start it, it just blows away because that key is also having that alcohol. And then once you on it, ignite the engine, it blasts away because that creates a current, and that is the cause of the problem.
Exploding. They've been exploding.
You burn your hand, right?
Yeah. There's.
It's not about sanitizing things will carry it away like anything, but we have to follow the right thing because a lot of things which we are conveying right now, people don't understand that how to use it. So it's important how to use it.
Sanitize. Get some lemon, and wash it with lemon water. Right? It's not going to explode. Yeah.
I'll tell you, Dr. Yoo, when we were in our villages, in our rural days, when we used to go to our villages, we used to clean our hands with mud.
Yeah.
So we take some mud, put it here, and then clean the hands.
Wow.
You get the natural microbiome. Yeah, the good bug.
Yeah. Those are just real muds with very thin, without stones and pebbles. And people used to wash hands like this only. They put the mud on their face. They get a lot of facial thing as well. And we have different kinds of mud. We use it. I mean, not nowadays because everything is easy. Just order dollar store and then you'll get a lot of stuff. But there are natural ways to do that as well. You won't believe. So in our ancient time when we don't have the razors, what we used to do, you used to boil the milk and the foam of the milk you put it in your chins, and then
Yeah.
use razor. We don't use creams.
Yeah, there's no chemicals, so
There's no chemicals, and then if you apply milk foam, your skin is also good.
Well, the protein from the milk is probably really good for you as well. You know, I learned something too. The protein from eggs is used for when burn victims. I didn't know that, but egg
powder,
white,
you make a powder on it, or
Okay.
butter, but egg white. The protein from egg white is also great for burn victims. But this is a natural thing, right? It's not what they use in the hospital, but it's the same compounds in the egg. Will help take away the burn and the pain that goes with it for a long time. If you get it on there real fast, I've heard of people taking egg white real fast and putting it on burn victims. You know, people who've had serious burns. You know, there are various ways to sanitize. I've emptied my bag. Let's see if I can find what I used to travel with.
So Kim, before that, I just played a small video, which is the new drone technology where you can get your deliveries through a drone and you can pay to the drone as well.
No, and I think that is awesome. You know, I was watching a weird movie the other night too, of food deliveries in a truck, but it's autonomous driving truck, and it has compartments, right? And you go and it knows that you're there, right? You scan, and then your food pops out, right? So there's no people serving food, no, but there's so many things that are going to evolve from this because of necessity and having to reduce. I can't find it. I guess I don't travel anymore, so I don't I don't have it.
There are a lot of natural ways as well to sanitize yourself and to boost immunity. And I think we have to get back to the nature, and we have to avoid those artificial treated products for our body, especially. And you know that Lynn always mentioned that Dove, and there is one more brand I don't remember. Those soaps are made by milk. There are no chemicals involved, and this is good for body. So sometimes what happens is that whenever I wash my hands with some other brands, I usually feel that my hands are not good. Then I have to apply some moisturizer as well. So that ways, I think natural is something which we need to take care of, and we also learn how to grow our own plants, how to grow our own vegetables, so that we can self-rely on self, and we don't have to go out and buy basic stuff. And I think, Kim, I can see, I've never asked you, but I can see a good view from your window. And I always forgot to ask you, there's a small tiny plant there, and there's a stool as well. So what is that plant?
I have a typical Southern house, a big front porch, right? And it's covered so that you can still sit out there in the rain. In the winter times, it's not as comfortable because it faces north, but in the summer, it's very comfortable because it faces north, right? Yeah. So that's a plant. It's a flower plant, and it's one that I actually grow in the house year round, and I keep multiplying it, called vinca, and it blooms year round. And so I keep it inside. It gets really big, and I just keep planting more, right? The deer love it, so I don't keep it out very often because the deer will chew it down to nothing, but it grows beautiful inside. I have beautiful pink blooms year round because of it. But I have a garden in the back, which is big, but not doing good this year. Okay. I'm really disappointed. We put in new compost. We bought compost. We make our own compost too, but we wanted to expand. And I guess it was the wrong kind of compost, so none of our seeds came up. We did seeds inside, and those are doing better. But that's my front porch. It's there's a porch chair swing that's really, just to sit and rock, and then a table is out there to sit and just relax. I go out there for Alexandra's cafe show. That way, even if it's raining, I still have a nice place to sit. And thank you for asking. It's a nice place to hang out, get fresh air.
Yeah, and we miss those backyards in India because it's not that easily available because of, I mean, we are living in such a different, yeah, so we don't have that. But if we go to countryside, we have bigger houses, farmhouses, and people have, I mean, maintained their farm like anything. And I mean, so I always feel that why we are living in a state or in a city which is so much of crowd with a lot of pollution and lot of things going around. And you won't believe that in India, all the top cities, means all the metros, they are suffering from COVID. Countryside is all beautiful, everything is fine, people are enjoying, and people are having a good time. But when you talk about those metro cities, those are the cities where you'll get, I mean, business, and people come there for good money and all those things. But they don't realize that, I mean, it hampers the health as well, and so as a lot of other things. And then whatever happening in the world, it will firstly grab to those metro cities, and then it will go to the countryside. So I always thought that I'm living in such a city which is so crowded with a lot of problems and pollutions and going around. But let's see, post COVID, maybe things will change, and we'll see what we can do best for our family.
Well, that's the thing. I think everybody should do what is, and this is a conversation we had with one of our guests on Tuesday and he's from LA as well, is just do what's best for your family at this point, right? You know your family's limitation, you know your family's health. And if you know that you're going out to a picnic area and there's not a lot of people there, then go out and enjoy it. Go out and enjoy the fresh air. You know, there's just, you know, I think there's a lot of ridiculousness in some of the things that the government has put down on us, maybe because they just felt like humans wouldn't know how to do things. So they just put all of these restrictions on us. There should be no restrictions to going outside. Just don't be near each other, right? Be respectful to other people's parameters just until we figure this out. And if you are sick, stay freaking home. What is wrong with people? People go to work sick anyway before this came around. I always fire people when they come to work sick, because if you come to work sick, that doesn't mean that you're dedicated to your job. That means you just don't give a hoot about anybody else but yourself. So I have big issues with people coming to work sick, especially with fever. And in this day and time, if you go to work sick, you shouldn't just be fired, you should be arrested. But just be common sense at this point. And the problem why the government is so concerned is a lot of people are not going to be informed enough. They're only going to hear half of what they need to do, and they're only going to do half of what they should do. Right. So majority.
All right, I gotta get ready for my dryoutube.com webinar. You guys are welcome to join. I'm on Facebook too. I found a way to stream it on multiple channels.
Well, do you want to play it while you want to just air it here? But I don't think we have another guest coming right now.
Yeah, I can just put you guys on the screen and introduce you, and we'll just continue the conversation.
So why don't you go ahead and we'll sit back and let you do your webinar. And
yeah, because you should show up on the screen. So let me.
We can just enjoy the webinar and sit back, and I can eat my blueberries. And
we can do that. So Dr. Tula, I think he missed it. He would be joining us earlier, but somehow maybe something happened. And Dr. Ahuja said that he would be joining, but someone from his family just turned COVID positive. So he was little. Yeah, so that's what he met with me right now. And Dr. Arthur is not available because he's busy with a lot of patients. So that is what's happening.
Well, a lot of things are going on.
I'm going to set it up. You guys go ahead and talk.
Okay, go ahead and set up what you have. We had another guest I thought maybe might join us today. He's one of the serial entrepreneurs like Dr. Yoo and myself, who kind of pivoted in the world to help do resources and supplies for PPE. And he was going to come on and just talk a little bit about what's going on in the world and industry. But he also does small houses, which is really cool. Like that's what his other job is he has big warehouses, and he builds small houses. And I think that's interesting because, a lot of people are going that route. buying a small house, cutting back their life and their lifestyles, and
Yeah, I
living.
saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
So I thought he would be interesting to speak with, especially considering the fact that, he was like, well, I got this big warehouse. Why not do other things with it during this time? Because I can't sell my small houses right now. One of the things I want to work with him is, did you remember that device I showed that does solar water generating and all of that? Ankit, you remember that
Yeah, I
device?
remember that. Yeah, I remember
So
that.
I kind of want to introduce him to that device to see if it would, because I think it would be perfect for a small house or a small cabin, that you could be completely off grid and still have all of electricity that you need to operate a place like that, for a minimal cost. Like for my house to go off grid, the electric company came in because we can't go through anybody else. We have to pay the electric company to do it for us, which I think is a monopoly. But it's $85,000 for them to install a solar system, and we can't go off grid. We resell back to them, so we resell back to them, but we're not going to get our money back. So anyway,
I
85,000.
wonder if solar is going to come down. I've been kind of waiting.
So I've been working with this man who's just a brilliant brain in the solar industry, purely because he's a survivalist, and he patented, actually got a patent on this. He patented a unique device that's very portable, but you can turn your home, a 3-bedroom home with 2 bathrooms, and run it off of this one device, one solar device. You don't need all of that technology that they come in and engineer and install into your home. You don't need all of that. He runs his 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and what it does is it also pumps water, right? So it does everything. It runs your electricity and it pumps the water you need for your house. And he went totally off grid, which is against the law in most states. It's against the law to go off grid. He built his whole business building. This is what was interesting to me. He started a water store, and he built the whole building with all the power tools ran off of this one device, which is it's like a small suitcase. It's the size of a small suitcase. In fact, I got one and brought it back on the airplane with me.
Kim, I tell you, so I've invited one of my friends who is a solar and electric engineer. He will be joining us on Wednesday, and he'll talk about how we can generate electricity or with solar. And there are a lot of ways to do it. It's just that as stem cell, people are not supporting, and government is not supporting because if we do that, then the big electric companies, they might be having a tough time. So, that's why he's struggling, but he's doing a tremendous job. And he said that in desert, we can create a lot of electricity, and that happens round the time because in the daytime it's too hot, and in the night it's too cold. So this is the best way.
It's time to start my
All right, let's start our
Friday webinar. I just need to make sure I can see you guys. Here we go. And I'm actually streaming it on YouTube and my Facebook group page, which is Create Wellness, and our Facebook corporate page, which is called Laser STEM. So today we have a couple special guests. They're kind of my partners in Prime TV. So I'm a regular guest on IBM TV, and we talk about world issues, especially health issues, how to protect your health, how to manage your health through this COVID pandemic. We have world-renowned speakers, physicians from all over the world, and so I'm honored to be part of the show. Every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, I have a Super Stem Cell Saturday show where I talk about the latest research and treatment modalities in what we call regenerative medicine, using umbilical cord derived birth tissue, stem cells, umbilical cord derived exosome therapies and research, clinical trials. And without further ado, what I'm going to do now is because everyone's sick of hearing about staying inside, self-quarantining. We want to get out of the house now. I think everyone's ready to get out. Businesses are starting to open up, but again, we want to go out of the house safely. I don't think you have to be afraid when the media says, "Oh, there could be a second wave." All you can control is yourself, your immune system, and to keep it strong. Plenty of vitamin C, vitamin D3, sunlight to make vitamin D3 as well. Vitamin A, healthy vegetables and fruits to get your vitamins and minerals. Maintain a healthy microbiome. 80% of the immune system's in your gut, and if you don't have the good biotics, bacteria from a good broad spectrum probiotic, cultured foods, sauerkraut, pickled foods like organic pickles, even the juice, Korean kimchi has a lot of natural good probiotics. Yogurt, kefir, hopefully organic, farm grass-fed from raised animals. And then you want a broad spectrum spore-based probiotic, because most probiotics you buy at the supermarket, they're broken down in the stomach acid. You cannot absorb them, so you're wasting your money. So you want one that's spore-based. Spore is like a husk. It protects the probiotic, so it'll survive the gut acid and be absorbed. We happen to have the spore-based probiotics, and you can get them online, or you can get them at our clinics. If you go to drphillipew.com and press shop, we have like an online shopping cart with these health products. All right. What I wanted to talk about today as well is what measures our clinics are taking to keep our patients safe when you do visit. So here's what we're doing now. Let me just play that. Our clinic has been open, and I just want to show you all the precautions and safety measures we are taking in our clinics to make it safe for our patients and the public to come in, through sanitation, proper screening and testing, and social distancing, and personal protective equipment such as the KN95 mask. Okay, so if you do happen to need our services and you need to come in, absolutely, this is exactly how we're making it safe and actually fun to come in. Without further ado, I'm going to play this video I took yesterday in our Palm Desert 21st Century Regenerative Clinic on the measures we're taking to make it fun and safe about coming in to see us. So here we go. Phillip Yoo at the Desert Laser Med Pain and Regenerative Medicine Institute, and we're just demonstrating how we are staying open and we're maintaining social distancing. The way we do that is Omar, he just texted the next patient while he's wiping the doors and handles down. And we have all our patients wait in their cars up front. That's the Bushmans, and they're coming in the clinic right here. Hey, how you guys doing? You got your mask? Did Omar text you to come in? It's safe to come in. So go ahead and open the door.
Good evening, Dr. Uday, and good afternoon to Lynn. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
I'm doing great. Doing great. Dr. Jalen and Dr. Phillip, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you with you, man?
Doing great. Good.
So hold on a second. I'll try to share the screen.
Everyone needs to wear a mask. And Melissa, you want to take?
So, Dr. Ahuja, what happened? You mentioned me. Someone is just in your family.
Yeah, actually, one of my relatives, they are in Delhi only, and they have turned out to be positive. And not only the guy who is positive, the entire family is positive. And even the house where I'm sitting right now, just back to me, one more house is there. All the 5 members have turned out to be positive. Similarly, after 4 or 5 houses from down the lane, again the 5 patients within the same house, they are getting positive. So I think the community transmission, or what we called the, you know, rapid surge in the cases, we can see right now in Delhi, because the number of in testing we have increasing these days. Now we have 34 labs, 17 from the government lab and the 17 from the private lab. So
Yeah.
I think the more testing we are doing it, the more cases we are getting isolated it these days.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear about your family. What are the steps that they're being told to take right now?
Actually, the government, what they did is they have placed a poster which showing that they all the family members, three or suppose there are three members are there, so all the three are positive, and they need to be quarantined or so isolated for the another 17 days. And if they require something, any kind of help, any kind of, the medication or any kind of help in the form of ration or something like that, uh, food material, they have to be supplied by the government official only, but they don't have to step out of their home, and they need to be strict isolation as per government rules. Another thing which they
Or
mentioned about that is, pardon me, please, you want to
did
say
they have
something,
the
Ankit?
antibody test or the nasal swab test?
How did they
They
test him?
Yeah, the testing is two types in these days in Delhi. One is through the home, they collect the samples, and second is the drive-through mechanism. I mean, the person who is have symptoms, they will go through by car and to a designated place at a particular time, which is given in the message box, in the text box, and by going to the center, the sample will be collected while the patient is seated in the car only. Is being seated in the car only.
Yeah, but what
So
sample are they taking
yeah,
it from the
I
nose
am coming.
or
I'm
the
coming to that.
blood?
So
Yeah.
most of the samples in the labs are by two ways. One is by nasopharyngeal and third is by throat swab. So no blood testing is being done these days. In as so far in India is concerned, we are doing either the nasopharyngeal swab or both throat swab also.
Wow.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do the PCR swab test, you have to do
Yeah,
it both nasal pharyngeal and the throat because you're
yeah, yeah,
testing to see if you have a colony of the virus. And if you just test here, you might miss the colony here. Yeah.
yeah.
But
So
then, even if you test both here and here, you might miss a colony in your mouth. So I think they should do both
yeah. So
nasal,
most of the
mouth,
labs, yeah.
and the antibody test, just as a second measure. But that's what we
And
need in the US. We need more broad testing where you can do the sample at home and they could pick the kit up, or we could send it to a lab like LabCorp and get tested. But that takes several days.
yeah,
So the blood prick test seems more practical because you could ship it to their home. They prick their finger. It's like a pregnancy test or cholesterol test. You send it back, or through an online telemedicine consultation with a healthcare provider, you can determine if they're positive for the antibodies or not. So yeah, I think
yeah.
there's a lot of ways to do it, but we want efficiency and we want speed.
I'm
So
curious too. When were they tested? When did they actually do the test? And how long did it take to get the results back?
So actually, what happened is there is long queue is there. Whether you go into the private sector or you go to the public sector these days. So there is a waiting period of around 2 to 3 days, depending upon the lab to lab, and minimum at least 48 hours waiting period is there in most of the labs. And as Dr. Philip has already said, we need to check both the oropharynx, that is the throat part, as well as the nasopharynx through the nose part.
Wow.
So
so
as far as, yeah,
so did they have any cold or flu symptoms? Your relatives who tested
yeah,
positive?
actually, so most of I have gone through testing of my three relatives today. So it's not today. The result have come today. Yesterday I did it for my testing. So what they have symptoms is out of three, two have the symptoms. One daughter of 3 years and husband and wife. Husband is showing the symptoms of fever, cough, sore throat for the last 2 days, and the wife is totally asymptomatic. But as a dictum, patient who is in coming in close contact of the who is having the same symptoms. So I've gone for the testing of all the three members, and they have turned out to be positive, all the three.
So are they getting any standard treatment? What treatments are they getting, if at all?
Oh, that's what he's getting to. Yeah, that's what he's getting to.
Yeah. So as far as the all the two husband and wife, they are young, around 30 years plus, and the kid is very small, around 3 years old. So in kid, only symptoms are like uh, just fever. Kid is not coughing up. So for prophylactic point of view, or for superimposed bacterial infection, I have just prescribed in Jathryn or azithromycin. Nothing like any hydroxychloroquine or something like that new drug. So for that kid. But if we talk about the adult, yes, I have put him the man into the hydroxychloroquine as well as the azithromycin, because right now we have hydroxychloroquine in India. Remdesivir soon will be going to available in the Indian market, but right now we don't have it. And also remdesivir is we know that from the data it's been used in the severe cases. So the patient who is having very mild symptoms and
Yeah,
those
they
who are
shouldn't get it.
asymptomatic, so that we don't require them to give to the
Yeah,
this
so
remdesivir.
So
I
you're
belong.
talking about antibiotics too. Erythromycin, you're talking about antibiotics too?
Yeah, antibiotics to prevent the superimposed bacterial infection in the throat, because we know that the most of the patients who are
But
Wow.
yeah, we belong to the American Academy of Stem Cell Physicians. We're coming up with guidelines that we're going to send to the president, and hopefully he'll get it to the CDC. Hopefully he'll listen to us. So if you're tested positive and if you're asymptomatic or very mild, you just need high dose vitamin C, oral or infusion, ozone therapy, and vitamin D3, zinc, and something called monolaurin.
Yeah,
It's on the wall of the viruses. If you're stage 2, which you have mild to moderate symptoms, cough, fever, sore throat, maybe some coughing, some mild cough symptoms, you probably need something called methylene blue, which it can kill the virus if you swab your nose, get it in your mouth with UV light. It's a mouthpiece that they use to whiten your teeth, but the UV light can activate the methylene blue. It'll kill the virus before it can get down deeper in your throat. And then stage 3 is severe cases. They have some fibrosis in their lungs, difficulty breathing, decreased oxygen saturation. They need something more aggressive. Ideally, umbilical cord stem cell therapy, which can immunomodulate the immune system. When you IV stem cells, 99% go to the lungs, which is perfect. Yeah, there's studies in China where they were using the umbilical cord blood. They've been reversing the COVID symptoms with totally in 2-3 days. So there are several labs doing that umbilical cord stem cell and natural killer cell therapy for COVID in the US. And then if the natural approaches don't work, then we could talk about erythromycin, hydroxychloroquine, maybe remdesivir for more severe. Of course, oxygen too. Hopefully hyperbaric or an oxygen mask for moderate to severe. But intubation, that's like last resort because it's hard to breathe. Only has a 20% survival rate. And then, and then the supposed vaccine, which, probably take 18 months, which is a moot point because the virus is already mutated. So why are you going to put a vaccine with no safety measures or testing on something that's probably not going to work on a mutated virus? So these are the conservative measures our academy is presenting. We're actually practicing on our patients. We just think this should be a national or even international standard. But the WHO, they don't talk about all these natural alternatives. They only talk about the hardcore drugs and
maybe
vaccines.
some of that is something we could collaborate with India, especially with Dr. Jatin, sharing a real life experience, right? Is that we can take some of this data, Dr. Yoo, and institute it into some of the conversations you want to have, that the natural applications are working just as well. But I am curious, how have they asked the family, because you're such a tight knit family in India? How are they reacting as a family? Certainly, those three are kind of isolated. But what about the rest of the families? Are you guys being tested and things like that?
Yes, yeah, you are right. Actually, this is just a social distance or social isolation, not the emotional isolation. I know that the time is really very tough these days for entire India, and especially if you talk about the metro cities like Delhi and Mumbai, they are hardly hit by this virus. And what we do it we we what we do it that apart from the prophylactic antibiotic, I have also given him, as per Dr. Philip, vitamin C. I asked them to take a lot of gooseberry. I asked them to take a lemon water, and the third, just to boost up your immunity, and the third, lot of hydration. And third thing which I asked them to take a zinc supplement, because
Yeah.
we have, yeah, sure, zinc supplement, as we know that most of the studies from the previous viruses like from influenza, polio virus, that zinc has the antiviral property. It's a general antiviral property. It inhibits the replication of the viruses. So, as a short duration, 5-10 days hardly matters for giving the. Even I have this strip of zinc. Yeah, so I
Oh,
used to take it. Yeah, I used to take it occasionally, just to supplement or immune my body, make my immune body to the virus. But
40,
we never know.
40 milligrams a day, right? About 40. How
Pardon?
many milligrams a day are those tablets?
Yeah, I used to take around 50 milligram per day.
Yeah,
But
40,
the studies
50.
yeah, studies which
It
is being
breaks
done in
down,
the,
it interferes with the RNA transcription of the virus. They can't replicate. Breaks down the wall. Yeah.
there you go.
Should we also
but
use zinc tablets then?
pardon, Ankit.
Should we also use zinc tablets to boost immunity?
Yeah, zinc is not as a immunity booster, but definitely it has the antiviral property. Suppose you don't know, I'm an healthcare worker. I'm going to the daily hospital.
Okay.
I never know that I am getting contact with the patient. I may not throwing the symptoms right now,
Yeah.
but who knows that I may be asymptomatic carrier? Who knows that
Exactly.
virus is
I'm
in my
concerned about
body?
I'm concerned about my father because he used to go to dialysis twice a week, and you know that he visits Max Sake. So I'm just concerned that can he take those zinc medicines?
Yeah, there's no harm in taking zinc as an alternate day. I used to take it on alternate day basis only. 50
Okay.
milligram, very minimum requirement. For though studies which has been done in the initial part from Wuhan, it suggests that 50 milligram you have to take 4 times a day. That is total 200 milligrams for
Wow.
the better action antiviral property. But but that is to be given only in proven cases. I am not a proven case right now,
Yeah.
so I don't want that I should take it 200 milligram on daily basis. And
Yeah.
how long I keep on taking it? So what I do to myself is I used to take it on alternate day or twice weekly, just to make it could be might have a placebo effect also. I don't know the
Yeah,
exact.
you could just take the vitamin C zinc lozenges,
Yeah,
and
sure,
I
sure.
think Ricola has that, right, with the honey, and just suck on
Yeah,
that every day as a prevention. And
absolutely.
if you happen to get virus or bacteria in your mouth or throat, that might kill it before it goes down to your lungs. So, yeah.
Yeah, the zinc and vitamin C, all of that, those just good healthy alternatives. The thing is right now is that now you're having to address family has it, who have they been around, who's asymmetric, who isn't, and I guess everyone needs to start getting tested. How long do they suspect that the family members have had this? How long do they suspect?
So things are like that. Patients who are getting these symptoms, suppose I am in 3-4 families in my contact, those who are throwing the symptoms of fever or mild sore throat, the most of the patients, they, if I ask them, is there any positive history of coming in contact with a positive person, none of them having the history like that. but definitely yes, they have the history of coming in contact with one of their close friends, or somebody is visiting their home, somebody is providing the